Let's take a look at what's happening here in our Southwest Indiana real estate market here in July of 2026. When we look back on June, we see that listings were up, sales were down, and prices were up substantially. In this video, I'm going to dive into how much prices were up, what the long-term effects are going to be, and how this affects you and much more. Hey, I'm Trae Dauby with Dauby Real Estate, and whenever I look at the June data, there were 586 homes listed for sale, which was up 15% compared to June of 2025, when there was just 510 homes listed for sale. Sales, on the other hand, were down. There were 444 homes that sold, which was down 5% compared to 422 in 2025. Now, average sales price, as I mentioned, was up substantially. The average sales price in Southwest Indiana was $290,000, which is up 13% compared to just over $256,000 in June of 2025. Now, the numbers that I just went over with you were for the month of June. Let's take a look and glance back at the last 6 months and see how the market is trending. Currently here in July, as I record this, there's 857 homes that are for sale here across Southwest Indiana. And looking back the last 6 months, there's been 2,205 homes that have sold. So looking at 857 homes for sale, 2,205 that have sold, that means we're currently sitting at a 2.3 months supply of homes. And if you're curious what that means we are in a seller's market. Remember, anything less than 5 months mean we are in a seller's market, and at 2.3 months, we're in a fairly strong seller's market, but there's some interesting trends that I want to dive a little bit more into. Whenever we look at the average sales price of these homes that sold in the last 6 months, the average sales price is $260,133. Now, that is significantly lower than the $290,000 that we saw in the month of June. What we do typically see is we see the average sales prices peak during the summer and bottom out during the winter months. So across the last 6 months, it was $260,133. Now, those home sellers got 97.9% of their final list price. That means what the price was being advertised at the day they got an offer, they got 97.9% of that. However, a lot of homeowners are having to do a price reduction. So across the board, what we see is that on average, a home seller is getting 95.9% of their initial listing price. So from the day they put their house on the market, they're getting 95.9% of that initial list price. But if you do price the home right, it's in good condition, you won't have to do a price reduction, and you will actually get a much higher sales price to list price ratio by pricing it accurately out of the gate. Now, what we're seeing is that the average home is selling in 45 days, which is about 10% higher than what we saw in the first half of 2025. So in 2025, we saw about 40 to 41 days. This year, we're at 45 days. So homes are sitting on the market a little bit longer, but they are still getting almost 98% of their sales price to list price ratio, which is a good ratio to be at. Currently, there's 483 homes that are pending, meaning they've accepted an offer and will most likely close here in the next 30 to 45 days. Whenever we glance at interest rates right now are right around the 6.4%, which looking back at the last 12 months, we were at 6.7% last year at this time. So it is good to see that trending downwards. Obviously, with conflicts going on throughout the world, we can't predict where interest rates will be in the future. Now let's dive into some price brackets, because obviously the supply, how much sales price to list price ratio, the time it takes for it to sell is going to vary depending on what price point your home is. And what we're seeing is all homes that are under $350,000, we're seeing tight supply, meaning just 1 to 2 months supply of homes currently on the market. Between $350,000 and $500,000, the market is not quite as tight. We're seeing 3 to 4 month supply. And once you get above $500,000, we're actually seeing 5 to 6 month supply, which is considered more of a balanced market. So we get above that $500,000 mark, and it's not really a seller's market, but it's not a buyer's market either. Now, taking a deeper dive into some of the brackets, under $200,000 homes, they're on average getting 97% of their final sales price to list price ratio and selling in 39 days on market. And there's currently 2.2 months supply of homes. Now, whenever we cross over that $200,000 mark and we look at homes between $200,000 and $500,000, those homeowners on average are getting about 98.6% of their final sales price to list price ratio. So there's less negotiating between $200,000 and $500,000 as opposed to under that $200,000 mark. But homes at that price point are taking a slight bit longer to sell, averaging 48 days on market. And again, it's tight inventory at 2.1 months supply. As I've mentioned, Once you get above that $500,000 mark, the market changes. It's neither a buyer's market or a seller's market, but they still are getting 97.9% of their sales price to list price ratio, averaging 45 days on market. But again, there is 5.3 months supply, which indicates that is a little bit softer market. But the good news is homeowners aren't having to negotiate a ton down, still getting 97.9% of their sales price to list price ratio. Now, what I went over was obviously very wide brackets, and this is covering all of Southwest Indiana. So what's happening in Evansville may be completely different from what's happening in Jasper, Newburgh, Princeton, Mount Vernon, Tell City, Santa Claus, or every other town. If you have questions about your unique situations, feel free to reach out to me. You can find me at daubyrealestate.com or give me a call at 812-777-4611. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page so that you can continue getting this market report and other Southwest Indiana real estate market reports. Again, I'm Trae with Dauby Real Estate, and I hope you have a great day.